Behind us is the 2018 BMW i8 Coupe Facelift Variant.
Now, it's a progressive sports car. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's hybrid, which means it's got an electric motor which runs the front wheels, and you've got a petroleum engine as well in the back. Now that powers the rear wheels. That's 3-cylinder, turbocharged and 1.5. It's also coupled to a 6-speed automatic gearbox too.
Realistically though, hybrids have not been known for being the most engaging vehicle to drive.
That's until you meet the i8, because it breaks all the rules.
Realistically, it'll keep up with any £100,000 sports car.
It's so fun, it's so engaging.
The model we have here is £123,000.
Now, for that, you'll get a luxurious interior. You'll also get BMW's laser lights as well.
This model's also finished in this lovely e-copper colour.
Sets it off beautifully.
The range starts at £110,000. Now saying that, I'm going to be looking at the exterior styling.
I'm going to be looking at the interior, the build quality and the practicality.
Ben will then drive it and we'll bring you our verdict on whether or not this is the car for you.
The first thing you'll notice about the i8 is, well, it's not your standard car when getting in. And there you go. It's that easy. You just slide in. Once you're in here though, well, it's of a level that you expect from BMW. But it's not as crazy and as conceptual on the inside as the outside. But that's not a bad thing. You've got stitching, you've got this great infotainment system in the middle, lashings of leather everywhere, chromes, glosses, and you've also got these blue lines that illuminate at night. Overall, very executive, very luxurious and sporty too. Like any futuristic vehicle from BMW, the car is extremely well kitted out for technology. You've got your electric windows, you've also got your boot release catch here, and you've got obviously your swan door release, which is just on the handle. There's also the petrol filler cap release as well on the door. You've also got automatic lights, rain sensing wipers, media controls on the steering wheel, and cruise control. You've got your heads-up display, you've got your digital instrument cluster which shows the charge on your electric motor and other information like economy and range. Now, as you'd expect, as it's a progressive sports car, you've got paddles on the back. Now when it comes to the infotainment system, you've got navigation, DAB radio, Bluetooth and Apple CarPlay. And this Harman Kardon system is absolutely immense. It's like having a symphony in the car. The clarity, the mid-tones, the bass, the treble, it goes together all so very well. You've got dual zone climate control, and when you get further down, this is where the magic happens. You've got your start stop and your e-drive button. That's where you enable the electric motor. Below that you've got your comfort, your Eco Pro mode. You can disable your camera and you can disable your parking sensors too. And that brings us to the iDrive system. It's operated with a rotary dial and this controls your infotainment system. You've also got buttons for your media, menu, map, navigation. Now if you open up this door, you've got a USB charging point and that is perfect for charging your smart key. And if you open up this door at the back as well, you've got a 12-volt adapter and a charging pad for a mobile phone. When it comes to practicality in the i8, I've got a decent amount of headroom, I've got a decent amount of legroom. Now the seats are electrically operated and very sporty, but very comfortable as well, very good for long journeys. They're also heated, which is perfect for those winter days. When it comes to steering, you've got height and you've got reach adjustment. Now the storage is rather clever on this car. You don't have door bins. But when you open your swan door, you don't want your bottle of water and all your things to fall out, so that's a good thing. You've also got a cup holder in the centre and two cup holders a bit further back. Under this leather door, you've got a storage point where you can store the smart key. You've also got another storage point here where you can store some pens or some sunglasses. And don't forget this little storage pot just in front of the gearbox too. And you have a glove box. It's not the biggest in the world, but it doesn't really need to be. It's a sports car. Now, normally at this point, I would be climbing into the back and showing you how practical it is for a passenger. And Michael managed to travel in the back of this car for a few miles, and he's 6'1" and rather less wide than me. It's doable, but it's perfect for small children, especially that supercar experience. You've got ISOFIX points in the back as well for a child's seat, and you've got airbags around the vehicle too. Overall, this car is phenomenal. Okay, I keep mentioning it, it's comfortable, but that's because it really is. We drove it for 3 hours and it rivals motorway cruisers. You've also got lots of leather, you've got chromes, you've got the mood lighting, and this cockpit area as well. Very sporty, a very usable everyday car.
Coming to the boot of the car, I'm not going to get my antique elephant in the back. However, if I pop this, I can pop the glass tailgate. You can either use the key or there's a button on the door as well. And when you lift up this cover,
154 litres, which is quite a bit bigger than the 88 litres on the Roadster.
you can get a decent sized bag in here. You can also get some fermented lemonades in the side and a bottle of champagne. So, oh, and not to forget, you've got your charge cable in here as well, so you can home charge. Overall, it's the kind of size you expect for a sports car, if not a touch bigger. There's no full-size spare wheel, there's no space saver, but that doesn't matter because this car comes with run-flat tyres anyway. Now, one cool option on the i8 is the smart key. Now, this will give you information like the charge on your electric motor. It'll let you set pre-air conditioning. It will also tell you when your service is due. And as you'd expect, you can also unlock the car, lock the car, and also pop the boot. And if you hold down the BMW button, the power folding mirrors will fold in, and also the windows will go up too. It will also tell you if your car is secure as well.
The concept for this car was first seen back in 2009. Almost 10 years later, the looks and the technology are well ahead of its time. Doc Brown would be proud. Now, as you would expect, there's automatic lights, rain sensing wipers, the front camera that makes up the 360-degree camera system, front parking sensors, collision detection. The overall sculpting and styling looks like something that should be in a modern art museum. In fact, this car looks like it's come from outer space. The grille is almost a BMW remastered grille, and you have this blue accent around the badge. That's just a signature of the I brand. Don't forget those laser light headlamps that will adjust the throw when you get to around 40 miles an hour so that you can see for miles. Coming to the side of the car, you have 20-inch alloy wheels. The ones on the back are slightly wider, but that's because you have the petrol engine. The ones at the front are powered by the electric motor. And speaking of that, you have your charging port there on the opposite side of the car. On this side, we have a petrol fuel filler cap. You also have powerful door mirrors, the carbon fibre reinforced plastic roof, and the swan door. Now, when it comes to the aerodynamics, everything isn't hidden behind little panels and vents. Everything you see is for a purpose. The air will travel along the bottom of the sill and go right to the back of the car. There's this large channel here which pushes out underneath these side spoilers, as opposed to having a large rear spoiler, creating fabulous light. Yet still, this all aids in keeping the car on the road. Coming to the back of the car, you have your shark fin aerial, the glass tailgate that covers the luggage compartment and the engine, the high-level brake light. You're reminded that this is eDrive and it's an i8. Rear parking sensors, the reversing camera, and overall, the general road presence and look in this car is amazing.
What's the i8 like to drive? Well, it combines hybrid technology with combustion technology, which means you get a car that can perform exceptionally well, yet be, well, pretty good for the environment. We've got an electric motor that drives the front wheels, and at the back you've got a petrol engine, 1.5 3-cylinder, which with a turbo, can't forget that bit, which drives the rear wheels. But the clever thing is, if you put it in sport mode, it will utilise both. Now, what are your thoughts on it, Michael?
Well, it's quite remarkable, really, because for us, you know, what is essentially a supercar,
Yes.
you can go to and from the shops, you can do your daily commute and never even use a drop of petrol.
I know, that is quite mad, isn't it? The fact that you can home charge your car and, well, like you said, it's a supercar. I mean, BMW have dubbed it progressive sports car, haven't they?
Well, I was actually speaking to a lady that has owned one of these for around 9 months, and she reckons she's only put 2 tanks of fuel in it.
That doesn't surprise me, considering you can get up to 130 miles to the gallon. But if you drive like this, you have a lot more fun.
Now, what is also very surprising is the ride.
Yes.
In its competitors, the ride is very firm. You know you're in a performance vehicle.
Yes.
Whereas this is not that far away from a luxury cruiser.
The engine and the gearbox and everything is extremely refined. It will drop gears, it will hold gears as it needs to. Also, if you kick down, it will drop rather quickly as well, which means you can get a fairly quick launch. But saying that, you can also drive along in eco mode. So you've got your e-drive system down here. Now that, when you enable it, it switches everything to electric, so your car goes whisper quiet. The electric motor at the front of the BMW i8 is 11.6 kilowatts, and it does give a fair old boost to performance, especially when combined with that petrol engine. As we mentioned, the economy, 130 miles to the gallon, but if you could drive around in sport mode, then you're not going to be quite that economical, but you'll have a lot of fun, and more to the point, you'll charge up your battery as you do it. The intelligent modes where it can choose what mode it wants to go into. It'll either use the rear wheels or the front wheels or a combination of both. And
It's surprising that despite it being very, very comfortable when you're pootling around and generally driving the car,
Yeah.
but then it's still able to perform in the corners.
well, that's what's crazy about it. I mean, it's 374 brake horsepower in this new variant, which is, I think it rivals the new Roadster, whereas the earlier ones were a touch less. But it's phenomenal how they set up the steering. Mind you, I suppose likely, Michael, it's going to be a lot of it's going to be M Sport, isn't it?
Yes, it's, you know, the BMW of course has a very good racing heritage with the M
yes.
division, and they've done very, very well with all of their M cars.
Yes.
So it's not surprising that the I series of vehicles are just as good.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like you say, when you put it in sport mode, it does tighten everything up. It makes your gear shifts shorter. It'll hold gears longer, and also, I mean, yeah, that's one thing we need to add. It is actually a 6-speed automatic. You've got your paddles on the back as well, so you can knock it into manual. But as a racing car, it's quite a thoroughbred. I mean, I've read that it lacks dynamicism, if that's even the word. Dynamicness. I don't think it does. I mean, if you're willing to floor this round a corner, then you can quite happily go sideways round there. But if you're spiritedly driving on the back lane, you can put your foot down and you'll just stick to the road like you're on rails.
I don't think I've ever been in anything like the i8. I think it stands out completely. The way people look at it, the way you feel inside it, it just has such a road presence, and it has such a, you know, it's such a head turner.
It is.
And
Yeah.
although I can't speak from what it's like to drive,
Bet
because
you'd like to.
as much as I would like to, because I'm not allowed to drive it, it just seems such a refined experience.
Yeah, I know. And that's it. It's not just about the driving experience. They put the Harman Kardon system in. You've got your driver aids as well, your rate sensing wipers, your automatic lights, your collision detection. And if you just kick down, then you can take off like a rocket. 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds and a top speed of 155.3. It's phenomenal, isn't it? Especially out of an electric motor and realistically a 1.5 engine. And you can travel at 75 miles an hour for 23 miles on a full charge. One thing to note is, if you're driving in electric mode, cyclists and pedestrians will not hear you. They'll walk out in front of you, turn around and then look completely startled, and then get the camera out and take a picture. And that's honestly what has happened to us a few times, isn't it, Mike?
We've had people taking photos. You have people asking you questions.
Yeah.
It really does turn heads. We were driving down the street in Morecambe, and kid stops, pulls out his phone, takes a photo, and it's just like, it just puts smiles on people's faces. It really is a feel-good car.
Yeah, and the other thing which we never expected, it's culturally accepted as well. BMW motorcyclists will come towards you, nod their head, and also you'll get every type of car on the planet giving you a flash and a wave, whether it's a wrapped SLK or an MGTF from the 1950s.
It's remarkable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, considering it's such a car that looks so out there and so ahead of its time, it's accepted by everybody.
I suppose this is the point probably where we should bring in some negatives, but I don't actually think we have any.
You can't get 6 full adults in the back. That's it.
Like, when it comes to driving, the gearbox appears, from my point of view, like it changes seamlessly.
Oh yes,
very fast. The steering seems very controlled. It feels very controlled. It feels stable. The ride is very good, and well, the performance speaks for itself.
Exactly.
So really, I can't find anything wrong with it as a passenger.
No, not at all. It's a racing car.
It's an absolute gem.
I mean, just that sound alone.
Back in 2009, when they unveiled the concept,
Yes.
and no one would have imagined that a hybrid car would be able to produce this performance, when they're known for being, hybrid vehicles are known for being, not the most engaging thing to drive. Yes, but I think if this is the future of the supercar, then the future
Bring
is
it
bright.
on.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. No, it's completely rewritten hybrid rules for us, hasn't it?
absolutely.
Now, one thing that may daunt you about this, but don't let it, is the width and the length of the vehicle. Okay, the turning circle's not the biggest thing in the world. Now, as mentioned, the cameras make parking it easy. The width when you're coming up to vehicles, well, realistically, it's only about the same width as, say, an SUV. So if you're used to driving something a little bit larger, there's not that much difference. Okay, when you get out and look at the size of the vehicle, I mean, it does look wide, doesn't it, Michael?
It looks I think when you're in it, it feels wider than it is.
Yeah, but it's not narrow when you look at our positioning.
No, it's not narrow, but it's like when I've been following it in other cars, you give it
You've got
a lot more room than you think you have.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? It means that you'll keep your body kit and your styling and your wheels all in perfect tact. And I'm going to stop here because of the width of it.
Ground clearance also isn't as bad as you would expect.
No, I know. You expect it to be, what, like an inch off the floor?
Yeah,
even though it looks low, it really isn't, is it?
Well, we've been able to get it, you're able to get it down your driveway, which is not the most easiest place to navigate down.
I also managed to take it to Barben Hill Climb, which was realistically an off-road track. And it came there, and across the field. Now, one thing you're probably asking yourself is, how is this car in the rain? Well, we were coming back the other day from Goodwood across Saddleworth Moor, and the heavens opened, literally. And okay, everybody slowed down, but this was not a handful. It was very easy to control. Just put it back into the normal mode, and it coped and it adjusted accordingly. And it was very easy to drive. Visibility in this car is very good as well. Now, you would expect that because of its small back window, they'd be quite hard to navigate, but because you've got the camera and you've got a decent glass window at the back, you can see very easily, and it's not particularly hard to park. You've also got your parking sensors, so when you do get too close, then you'll get your beep beeps, and they are overzealous, which is really good because you don't want to be too close. What's it like if you try and open it in a car park? Well, your doors, they don't actually go that high, do they, Michael?
No, and if you've got someone parked next to you, you can still open them.
Yeah, well, I would actually argue that it's easier to open this than it is, say,
a normal car.
Yes. Yeah, a longer throw door.
Yeah.
But you adjust to it really quickly, don't you?
Yes, it's not too low. Like my grandfather at 80 odd years old was able to get it in and out.
Yes, when we offered him the chance, he was in and out like a whippet. Which it shows you that anybody could own this car. I love everything about it. Okay, as I said, it's not the most practical vehicle. You won't get a wardrobe in there or an antique elephant, as we demonstrated before. But you will have a lot of fun. It's an everyday car that you can use. You can charge it up at home. You can charge it on a charger. You can put petrol in it, or you can charge it doing spirited driving.
I think the pros far outweigh the cons.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's our verdict of the BMW i8?
Well, I want one. It's not the most practical vehicle in the world, but it is hybrid. You've got that petrol engine, you've got the electric motor, and it performs like a supercar. Okay, there's one major problem with our model.
And that's that we have to give it back.
That's it. We can't really find anything else. I mean, okay, you can't put 6-foot adults in the back, but it's a progressive sports car. Why would you want to?
That's it. You're not going to fit a wardrobe in the boot, and
No.
you're not going to fit the entire family in it.
No.
But as a performance car, it is brilliant.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it's practical enough to drive every day because you can either plug it in and charge it, or you can charge it driving spiritedly, which is far more fun.
Well, also, the price of £123,000, it's in line with its competitors.
It is.
And it has much lower running costs.
Yeah, and it's NCAP 5 as well, so it's very safe.
If you're in the market for a progressive sports car, then the BMW i8 is well worth taking a look at.
For more impartial car reviews, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell, and that way you'll be alerted every time we put up any more content. Also, if you've any questions on the i8, either comment below or join our Discord server. Thank you.